Marcus Harding's hands moved across the oak surface, his calloused fingers detecting imperfections invisible to the naked eye. The workshop buzzed with the sound of machinery, but to him, it was a symphony he had conducted for 20 years. Sawdust coated his dark blue work shirt, settling into the creases of his muscled forearms. "Dad, look what I made." Lily's voice cut through the mechanical drone. His 15-year-old daughter held up a small wooden box, her green eyes bright with pride. Marcus set down his tools and wiped his hands on his work pants. "Let me see that craftsmanship." He examined the box, noting the clean joints and smooth finish. "You're getting better at this. Those corner joints are perfect. I learned from the best." Lily hopped onto the workbench, her legs swinging freely. "Mom called. She's not coming home for dinner again. Some charity thing with Isabel." Marcus's jaw tightened imperceptibly. "Then it's just you and me tonight, kiddo. How about we fire up the grill?" The mention of Serafina's absence didn't surprise him anymore. His wife's social calendar had grown increasingly busy over the past year, filled with events that seemed to multiply like rabbits. She'd come from money, old money that looked down their noses at craftsmen like him. He remembered the day she'd walked into his shop, all designer clothes and perfectly manicured nails, ordering a custom dining set. "You're sure about the materials?" he'd asked back then, noting her expensive taste. "I know quality when I see it," she'd replied, running her fingers along a finished table. "And your work? It's exceptional." They'd fallen hard and fast. She'd seen past his rough edges, or so he'd thought. He'd given her everything he had. His heart, his trust, his loyalty. Values beaten into him through years in the foster system, where betrayal meant survival and trust was a luxury few could afford. The sound of Lily's phone buzzing pulled him from his memories. Her expression changed as she read the message, color draining from her face. "What is it?" Marcus asked, setting down the small box. Lily's fingers trembled slightly. "It's nothing, Lily." His voice carried the weight of authority, tempered by concern. She hesitated, then turned the phone toward him. On the screen was a group chat message. "OMG, just saw Mrs. Harding at La Maison with Rex Vance. They looked pretty cozy face with open mouth." Marcus's expression remained neutral, but something dark stirred behind his eyes. "Who's Rex Vance?" "He's that real estate developer. The one who's always in the local news?" "Mom mentioned him at dinner last month." Lily's voice was small. "Dad." "It's probably business-related," Marcus said, but his mind was already cataloging the signs he'd ignored. The late nights, the new clothes, the distant looks. "What if it's not?" Lily asked, her voice cracking. Marcus placed his hands on her shoulders, his grip firm but gentle. "Then we handle it. Together. Like we always do." He pulled her into a hug, his large frame dwarfing hers. Over her head, his expression hardened into something dangerous, a glimpse of the man he used to be before this quiet life. Later that night, after Lily had gone to bed, Marcus sat in his workshop, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. He pulled out his phone and opened social media, something he rarely did. There it was. A photo from 2 weeks ago at a charity gala. Serafina, radiant in a red dress, standing next to a tall man with perfectly styled hair and an expensive suit. Rex Vance. The caption read, "Oakhaven's finest supporting children's education." Marcus zoomed in on their body language, the slight lean toward each other, the familiar way Rex's hand rested near Serafina's waist. His fingers tightened around the phone until his knuckles turned white. The next morning, Serafina breezed into the kitchen as Marcus prepared breakfast. She wore yoga pants and a designer top, her blonde hair perfectly styled despite the early hour. "Marcus, we need to talk about what Lily saw," she said, pouring herself a coffee. He cracked eggs into a pan, his movements controlled. "Do we? It's not what you think. Rex and I were discussing the community center project. Isabel and others were there too." She touched his arm. "You know how small towns talk." Marcus turned to face her, his dark eyes studying her face. "Were they?" Serafina's smile faltered slightly. "Of course. Don't be paranoid, darling. It doesn't suit you." He noted the slight tremor in her hand as she lifted her coffee cup, the way she wouldn't quite meet his eyes. In the foster homes, He'd learned to read people's tells, to spot the lies before they became knives in his back. "You're right," he said, his voice deliberately calm. "Small towns do talk." Relief crossed her face too quickly. "Exactly. Now, I have a lunch meeting, but I'll be home for dinner tonight." As she left, Marcus watched her through the window, noting how she checked her phone immediately upon entering her car. His hands, still strong from years of working wood, gripped the counter edge. He'd built this life from nothing, crafted it as carefully as his finest pieces. If someone was trying to break it apart, they'd learn why he'd earned the nickname, the Hammer, long before he became a craftsman. The morning passed in a blur of work orders and deliveries. Marcus lost himself in the rhythm of his craft, letting the familiar motions soothe the rage simmering beneath his surface. Around noon, his phone buzzed with a text from Daniel, the Anvil Hayes. "Saw something you should know about. Stop by the garage when you can." Marcus arrived at Anvil's garage 30 minutes later. Daniel was under a car, rock music blaring from speakers in the corner. He rolled out when he heard Marcus's boots on the concrete. "Brother," Daniel said, wiping his hands on a rag. His muscled frame spoke of his military days, and his eyes held the same hardness as Marcus's. "Saw your wife's car at the Golden Oak Hotel yesterday. Wasn't gonna say anything, but after what you mentioned about the restaurant..." Marcus's expression didn't change, but his voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "What time?" "Around 2. She wasn't alone. Daniel met his friend's gaze steadily. "You need backup?" "Not yet." Marcus clasped his friend's shoulder. "But keep your phone on." The rest of the afternoon passed with Marcus processing this new information. He thought about the man he'd been before, the one who solved problems with his fists rather than his words. The one who'd learned in the foster system that sometimes violence was the only language people understood. He'd buried that man when he met Serafina, transformed himself into someone worthy of her love. Now, as doubt gnawed at his carefully constructed life, he felt that old familiar darkness rising. If his suspicions proved true, someone would learn why they called him the Hammer, and it wouldn't be because of his carpentry skills. Chapter 2. The Call. Marcus stood in his workshop, sanding down a piece of walnut that would become part of a custom bedroom set. The rhythmic motion helped quiet his mind, but the tension in his shoulders betrayed his unease. The conversation with Serafina that morning had left him unsettled, her excuses too practiced, too smooth. His phone rang, Lily's ringtone cutting through his thoughts. He grabbed it, noting the time, 2:15 p.m. She should be in class. "Lily? What's wrong?" Her voice came through trembling, thick with tears. "Dad, Mom's boyfriend is here." Marcus's hand froze on the sandpaper. "What?" "He said you're not coming back and that he's my new dad." A crash echoed in the background, followed by male laughter. "He tried to touch me, but I kicked him. Now he's smashing things and saying he'll teach me to obey." The sandpaper crumpled in Marcus's fist. "Where are you?" "In my room. I locked the door." Another crash, closer this time. "He's laughing and saying you're too weak to stop him." "Listen to me very carefully." Marcus's voice turned to steel. "Stay in your room. Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone but me. I'm coming." He ended the call and moved with deadly purpose to the back of his workshop. Behind a false panel, wrapped in oiled cloth, lay his grandfather's shotgun. He'd kept it as a reminder of the man who'd taught him that protection of family came before all else. The drive home was a blur of controlled rage. Marcus's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel as memories from his past surfaced. Foster homes where the strong preyed on the weak, where men like Rex Vance thought they could take whatever they wanted. He pulled into his driveway, noting Serafina's car and an expensive SUV he didn't recognize. The front door was ajar, and through it, he could hear Rex's voice. Come out, little girl. Daddy's home." Marcus entered silently, the shotgun held low but ready. The living room was a mess of broken furniture and scattered belongings. Serafina stood near the stairs, her face pale. "Marcus," she gasped, "this isn't what it looks like." He ignored her, his focus on the man at the top of the stairs. Rex Vance, in his $1,000 suit, turned at the sound of Serafina's voice. His handsome face split into a mocking grin. "Well, if it isn't the carpenter. Come to see how a real man handles things. Rex spread his arms wide. Your wife's been telling me all about how inadequate you are. Marcus took the stairs 2 at a time, his movements fluid and predatory. Rex's grin faltered as he realized the man approaching him wasn't the passive craftsman he'd expected. Marcus, please. Serafina called from below. Let's talk about this. Rex backed up, his bravado cracking. Now, hold on. This is all a misunderstanding. Marcus's voice, when it came, was terrifyingly quiet. You touched my daughter. I didn't. I was just playing around. Rex's back hit the wall. Serafina, tell him. But Marcus wasn't listening anymore. The rage he'd contained for so many years broke free. The shotguns but connected with Rex's jaw in a brutal arc, dropping him to the floor. Blood sprayed across the wall as Rex's head snapped back. Daddy? Lily's voice came through her bedroom door. Stay inside, sweetheart, Marcus called, his tone gentle despite the violence he'd just enacted. Then, to Rex's groaning form, get up. Rex tried to crawl away, but Marcus grabbed him by the collar and dragged him toward the stairs. Each step down brought another pain grunt from the real estate developer. Marcus, stop. Serafina rushed forward. You're going to kill him. Marcus paused at the bottom of the stairs, Rex's collar still in his iron grip. He turned to his wife, and she stepped back at the cold fury in his eyes. You brought this into our home, he said, his voice eerily calm. You brought this man near our daughter. I didn't know he would. She started. You never know, do you, Serafina? He dragged Rex toward the door. You never think about consequences, about loyalty, about trust. Rex tried to struggle, but Marcus slammed him face first into the wall. Please, Rex whimpered, blood dripping from his split lip. I'll leave. You'll never see me again. You're right about that. Marcus hauled him outside and threw him onto the driveway. Rex scrambled toward his SUV, but Marcus's next words froze him in place. If you ever come near my family again, what happened today will feel like a massage. Serafina stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. Marcus, I can explain everything. He turned to her, and for the first time, she saw the man beneath the quiet craftsman's exterior. The man who'd survived foster homes and street fights. The man they'd called the Hammer. Pack your things, he said. You have an hour. After that, if you're still here, I'll throw you out myself. You can't do this, she protested. This is my house too. This house? Marcus's laugh held no humor. I built this house with my own hands. I built this life while you were busy destroying it. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. And now I'm going to take everything from you. Slowly, piece by piece, until you understand what it feels like to lose everything you love. He turned away from her and climbed the stairs to Lily's room. His knuckles were white on the shotgun, but when he knocked on her door, his voice was gentle. Lily? It's Dad. You can open up now. The door cracked open, and Lily peeked out. Seeing her father, she threw herself into his arms, sobbing. Marcus held her close, stroking her hair. It's okay, baby. I'm here. No one's going to hurt you. I was so scared, she whispered into his chest. I know, but you were brave. So brave. He pulled back to look at her. Pack a bag, okay? We're going to stay with Uncle Daniel for a few days. As Lily packed, Marcus could hear Serafina moving around downstairs, her heels clicking on the floor. He pulled out his phone and dialed Daniel. Anvil? I need a favor. Can you come to my place? Bring your truck. And Daniel? Things are about to get complicated. Chapter 3. The Declaration. The evening sun cast orange light across Daniel's garage as Marcus sat on a worn leather couch, watching Lily sleep. She'd finally drifted off after hours of tears and questions he couldn't fully answer. Daniel entered quietly, 2 beers in hand. She's tough, like her old man, Daniel said, offering a bottle. Marcus took it but didn't drink. I should have seen it coming. Brother, some snakes hide real well until they're ready to strike. Daniel settled into a chair across from him. Question is, what are you going to do about it? Before Marcus could answer, his phone buzzed. Serafina's name flashed on the screen. He declined the call, only to have it buzz again immediately. And again. You should hear what she has to say, Daniel suggested. Might be useful. Marcus answered on the fourth ring, putting it on speaker. Serafina's voice filled the garage, desperate and pleading. Marcus, please come home. We can talk about this. Rex is in the hospital. You could be arrested. Are you threatening me? Marcus's voice remained eerily calm. No, I'm trying to protect you. Rex's father is powerful. He's asking questions. If you just apologize. Marcus cut her off. Apologize? For protecting my daughter from a man you brought into our home. It wasn't like that. Rex was just what? Marcus's voice dropped dangerously low. Just trying to teach my daughter to obey? Those were his words, weren't they? Silence filled the line. Listen carefully, Serafina, because I'm only going to say this once. Our marriage is over. You are not welcome in my house. You are not welcome near my daughter. And if you or Rex try to threaten me again. He paused, letting the implications sink in. Well, you saw what happens when someone threatens my family. Marcus, please, she whispered. I love you. He laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. No, you love what I could give you. Status, stability, a cover for your affairs. But you never loved me. His voice hardened. And that was your biggest mistake. What do you mean? You'll see. Everything you built on lies. Your social status, your reputation, your comfortable life. I'm going to take it all away. Slowly, carefully, until you understand what it feels like to lose everything. You wouldn't dare, she hissed, her pleading tone replaced by anger. I'll ruin you. You can try. Marcus's voice carried the weight of his promise. But remember, I learned a long time ago how to survive, how to fight. You've just been playing at life, Serafina. Now you'll learn what it means to lose. He ended the call and turned to Daniel. I need your help fixing up the house. Rex did some damage. You know I've got your back, Daniel said, rising from his chair. But what's your plan? Marcus stood, his frame silhouetted against the garage lights. First, we document everything. The damage to the house, Rex's threats, all of it. Then we get a restraining order, not just against Rex, but against Serafina too. I won't have her near Lily after this. She won't take that lying down. No, Marcus agreed, his eyes hardening. She won't. That's what I'm counting on. They drove back to the house, finding it empty but still bearing the scars of the afternoon's violence. Broken furniture littered the floor, and there were dents in the walls where Rex had lost control. Marcus moved through the rooms, taking photos with his phone, his jaw tightening at each new sign of destruction. In Lily's room, he found her books scattered across the floor, her desk overturned. The sight of her violated space made his hands shake with renewed fury. Daniel appeared in the doorway, reading his friend's expression. We'll fix it all, Daniel assured him. Make it better than before. Marcus nodded, but his mind was already racing ahead. She'll try to spin this. Paint me as the violent one, the unstable ex-foster kid who snapped. Let her try, Daniel said, starting to write the furniture. People in this town know you. They've seen how you are with Lily, how you've built your business. They won't buy it. As if on cue, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was a link to a social media post, Serafina's account. She'd already started her campaign, posting about escaping an abusive situation and how appearances can be deceiving. Marcus showed the phone to Daniel. See? It begins. What are you going to do? Marcus pocketed his phone, his expression cold but determined. Nothing. Not yet. Let her make her moves. Let her think she's winning. The bigger the lie, the harder the fall. They worked into the night, restoring order to the house. As they cleared away the last of the broken furniture, Marcus paused, holding a framed photo he'd found under some debris. It showed him, Serafina, and Lily at a family picnic 2 years ago. They looked happy, normal. It had all been a lie. He placed the photo face down on a shelf. Daniel, I need one more favor. Name it. Take Lily to school tomorrow. I need to make some arrangements, and I don't want her alone. Daniel nodded, understanding the unspoken concern. You think Rex might try something? No, Marcus said, his voice carrying a dangerous edge. He's a coward. But Serafina, she's desperate now. And desperate people do stupid things. Later that night, after Daniel had left and the house was quiet, Marcus sat in his workshop. The familiar smells of wood and varnish surrounded him, but they brought no peace tonight. He pulled out his phone and began making notes, names, dates, connections. Everything he knew about Rex Vance, about Serafina's social circle, about their patterns and habits. In the foster system, he'd learned that knowledge was power. That to survive, you had to know your enemies better than they knew themselves. He'd buried those instincts when he married Serafina, tried to be the man she claimed to want. But now, as he cataloged her betrayals, he felt the old skills returning. The sound of a car passing slowly by the house made him look up. Through the workshop window, he caught a glimpse of Serafina's red BMW. She was watching, probably hoping to see signs of regret, of weakness. Instead, Marcus stood in full view of the window and stared directly at her car. Even from this distance, he knew she could feel the weight of his gaze. The car accelerated away, and Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. She'd come looking for cracks in his armor, for signs that she could manipulate him back into line. Instead, she'd found the man he used to be, the one they called the Hammer, staring back at her. Tomorrow, he would begin dismantling her carefully constructed world. But tonight, he had preparations to make. He opened his laptop and began composing an email to his lawyer. The subject line read, "Emergency Restraining Order Request, Domestic Violence." The quiet of the night settled around him as he worked, broken only by the sound of his typing and the occasional creak of the old house settling. In Lily's room upstairs, a light still burned. She'd asked to sleep at home tonight, wanting to reclaim her space. Her courage made his heart swell with pride even as it fueled his resolve. They had tried to break into his world, to shatter what he'd built. Now they would learn why that had been a terrible mistake. Marcus the Hammer Harding hadn't earned his nickname through weakness, and by the time he was done, both Serafina and Rex would understand exactly what they'd awakened. As the first hints of dawn began to color the sky, Marcus finally closed his laptop. Phase 1 was complete. The legal groundwork laid, the trap set. Now all he had to do was wait for them to make their next move. And they would, people like Serafina and Rex always did. Their pride wouldn't let them do anything else. He climbed the stairs quietly, checking on Lily before heading to his own room. She was finally asleep, her face peaceful despite the day's trauma. Marcus stood in her doorway for a long moment, his expression softening as he watched her chest rise and fall. "I promise you," he whispered, "they'll never hurt you again." It was a promise he intended to keep, no matter the cost. The quiet life he'd built might be shattered, but from its ruins, he would forge something stronger, something unbreakable. And anyone who tried to harm his family again would learn why he'd once been feared on the streets that raised him. Chapter 4. The Spider's Web. Marcus sat in Daniel's garage office, surrounded by stacks of papers and multiple computer screens. His fingers drummed against the metal desk as he reviewed financial records, property dealings, and social media posts. "These development contracts," Daniel said, pointing to a document. "Rex's company won them without proper bidding. My contact in City Hall says there's more dirt if we dig deeper." Marcus leaned forward, studying the numbers. "Who's your contact? Remember Jimmy from the Corps? He works in records now. Says Rex's paperwork is too clean. Like someone sanitized it. Get me everything he has." Marcus pulled out his phone, checking messages. 3 missed calls from Serafina. A text from his lawyer about the restraining order. "How's security at Lily's school? My guys are watching." No sign of Rex or Serafina. Daniel crossed his arms. But there's chatter. Serafina's friend Isabel is spreading stories. Marcus's jaw tightened. "What kind of stories?" "The usual playbook. You're unstable, violent." She's painting Serafina as this trapped woman who finally escaped her abusive husband. Daniel snorted. "Nobody's buying it, but she's persistent. Let them talk." Marcus pulled up another document. "While they're busy spinning tales, we'll build our case. Rex's father wants answers? He'll get them." A knock at the garage door interrupted them. One of Daniel's mechanics stood there, looking uncomfortable. Boss, Mrs. Harding's outside. Says she needs to talk to her husband. Marcus and Daniel exchanged glances. Through the office window, they could see Serafina pacing by her car, phone pressed to her ear. Want me to send her away? Daniel asked.
No.
Marcus stood, his movement deliberate. I want to hear what story she's telling now. He walked out to meet her, noting how she dressed for effect. Expensive clothes, perfect makeup, the picture of a distressed wife. She ended her call as he approached. Marcus, she said, voice trembling. Rex's father is asking questions. He's threatening to involve the police. Is that why you're here? To warn me? His voice carried no emotion. Or to threaten me. I'm trying to help you. She stepped closer, reaching for his arm. He moved back, and she flinched at the coldness in his eyes. Rex's father has connections. He could ruin you, like you tried to ruin our daughter? Serafina's composure cracked. That wasn't my fault. I didn't know Rex would. You never know, do you? Marcus's voice dropped lower. You didn't know he was violent. Didn't know he'd threaten a child. Tell me, what do you know? I know you're angry, she said, attempting to regain control. But think about your business, your reputation. If you back off now, we can handle this quietly. Marcus laughed, a sound that made her step back. My reputation? You mean the one your friend Isabel is trying to destroy? He moved closer, his presence intimidating despite his calm tone. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to call off your attack dog. Stop the rumors. Or I start sharing the truth. All of it. You wouldn't dare. It would hurt your precious reputation too. The difference is, I don't care about reputation. I care about justice. He pulled out his phone, showing her a document. Remember this development deal? The one Rex pushed through without proper bidding? I wonder what the DA would think about those numbers. The color drained from Serafina's face. How did you? I learned a lot in foster care. Like how to spot a con, how to gather evidence, how to be patient. He pocketed his phone. You and Rex played your game with other people's lives. Now you'll learn what happens when someone plays back. Marcus, please, she whispered, her mask crumbling. We can fix this. No, we can't. But I can fix what you broke. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Serafina? Tell Isabel that if one more rumor about me surfaces, I'll start sharing what I know about her husband's offshore accounts. He walked away, leaving her staring after him. Inside the garage, Daniel waited. She'll run straight to Rex, Daniel said. Good. Marcus picked up his jacket. Let them panic. Desperate people make mistakes. Later that evening, Marcus received a text from an unknown number. It contained a video, security footage from La Maison restaurant, showing Serafina and Rex in an intimate moment months ago. Another text followed. There's more where this came from. Thought you might want to know what else they've been hiding. Marcus forwarded the video to his lawyer, then dialed Daniel. We've got another player in the game. Someone sharing proof of their affair. Friend or foe? Daniel asked. Doesn't matter. We'll use it all. Marcus opened his laptop, beginning a new document. Time to show them what real revenge looks like. Across town, Serafina sat in her hotel room, frantically dialing Rex's number. When he finally answered, his voice was slurred with pain medication. They're digging into the contracts, she said without preamble. Marcus knows about the bidding process. Impossible, Rex groaned. Those records were cleaned. Well, he has them. And he's not stopping there. She paced the room. Your father's pressure isn't working. If anything, it's making him more determined. Then we push harder, Rex said. Get Isabel to amp up the stories. Paint him as a monster. You don't understand. He knows about Isabel's husband's accounts. He's 3 steps ahead of us. There was silence on the line. Then Rex spoke, his voice heavy. My father can't know about those contracts. If this gets out, what are we going to do? Whatever we have to. I'm not letting some furniture maker destroy everything I've built. But as Serafina ended the call, she felt the first real stirrings of fear. She'd seen something in Marcus's eyes today. Not anger, not hurt, but a cold, calculated purpose. She remembered how he'd been when they first met, the hints of his past that he'd shared. She'd thought she'd tamed that part of him. Now she realized she'd never tamed anything. He'd simply chosen to be different, to be better. And she destroyed that choice. Her phone buzzed with a text from Isabel. "We need to talk. Things are getting complicated." Serafina stared at the message, understanding that her carefully constructed world was beginning to unravel. She thought Marcus would break, would rage and storm, giving her the ammunition she needed to destroy him. Instead, he was dismantling her life piece by piece, with the same patience he used to craft his furniture. She'd wanted more than his simple life could offer. Now she was learning that simple didn't mean weak, and that she'd underestimated the man she'd married in ways she was only beginning to understand. Chapter 5. The Anvil's Blow. The news broke on a Tuesday morning. Local developer faces investigation over fraudulent contracts, screamed the headlines. Marcus read the article with satisfaction, noting how the journalist had used the evidence perfectly, weaving a tale of corruption and deceit that would be impossible to deny. His phone rang. "Daniel, it's hitting all the major outlets. Rex's father just called an emergency board meeting. How's our friend at the paper? Says he's got more stories ready to go. The tip line is blowing up. Seems like everyone has a Rex Vance story they want to share." Marcus checked his email, finding a message from his lawyer. The restraining order had been granted, not just against Rex, but against Serafina as well. The evidence of Rex's violence, combined with Serafina's enabling of it, had convinced the judge. "Mr. Harding?" His secretary's voice came through the intercom. "There's a Ms. Moreau here to see you." Marcus raised an eyebrow. Isabel Moreau, Serafina's spider, coming to his territory? "Send her in." Isabel entered his office with less than her usual confidence. Her designer outfit and perfect makeup couldn't hide the worry in her eyes. "Ms. Moreau," Marcus gestured to a chair. "What brings the president of the Oakhaven Social Club to my humble workshop?" "You know why I'm here." She sat, arranging herself carefully. "Things have gotten out of hand, have they? I thought this was what you wanted, drama, scandal, something to gossip about over lunch." Isabel's facade cracked slightly. "This isn't a game, Marcus. Rex's father is involving his lawyers. There's talk of criminal charges. Funny how consequences work, isn't it?" Marcus leaned back in his chair. "Actions have them, even yours. I never meant to help a man who attacked my daughter, to spread lies about abuse, to try to destroy my reputation." His voice remained calm, but his eyes blazed. "Which part didn't you mean, Isabel?" She swallowed hard. Serafina said it was just an affair, that she needed support leaving an unhappy marriage. "I didn't know about Rex's violence, about what happened with Lily, but you knew enough to start spreading rumors, to paint me as the villain." Marcus stood, moving to the window. "Tell me, does your husband know about the money you've been moving through those offshore accounts?" Isabel went pale. "How did you?" "I have friends too, Isabel. Friends who know how to find things people want to hide." He turned back to her. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to publicly retract your statements. Admit you were mistaken. And then you're going to tell me everything you know about Serafina's plans. She'll never forgive me. That's not my problem." Marcus sat again, his presence filling the room. "Your choice is simple. Help me, or I start sharing what I know about your financial dealings." Isabel's hands trembled as she reached for her purse. She's desperate. She's been meeting with Rex's father, trying to convince him to use his influence to stop the investigation. But it's not working. Rex, he's becoming unstable. He talks about making you pay, about teaching you a lesson. Marcus's expression didn't change. "And what do you think about his chances?" "I think..." Isabel met his eyes for the first time. "I think Serafina never understood what she had, what she threw away. She thought you were simple, controllable. She was wrong." "Yes, she was." Marcus stood, signaling the end of the meeting. "I expect your retraction by tonight. And Isabel, choose your friends more carefully in the future." After she left, Marcus called Daniel. "The spider's changing sides. Get ready for phase 2. That afternoon, local news websites began carrying Isabel's statement. She expressed deep regret for her misunderstanding of the situation, praised Marcus's character, and hinted at darker truths about Rex and Serafina. Social media exploded with commentary, and Marcus watched as his wife's carefully constructed narrative began to crumble. Serafina's fury manifested in a barrage of texts. "How dare you threaten Isabel? You're destroying everything." Marcus read them without responding, focusing instead on the email from his investigator. They'd found more irregularities in Rex's business dealings, enough to ensure the investigation wouldn't end anytime soon. His phone buzzed again. "Daniel, Rex's father just held a press conference. He's throwing his son under the bus, claiming he had no knowledge of the fraudulent contracts. And Rex? Not taking it well. He tried to crash the press conference, had to be physically removed. He was ranting about betrayal, about making people pay." Marcus smiled grimly. "Keep our security tight. He'll try something soon. Already on it. How's Lily holding up?" "Better. The counselor says she's processing everything well." Marcus's voice softened at the mention of his daughter. "She's stronger than anyone knew." The rest of the day passed in a blur of work and strategic moves. Marcus met with his lawyer, reviewed security footage from his home and workshop, and continued gathering evidence. Each piece was another nail in the coffin of Rex and Serafina's reputations. That evening, as he worked late in his shop, he received another call, this time from Rex himself. "You think you're so smart," Rex slurred. "Think you've won? Drinking alone? Rex? That's not very professional. I built this company. My father can't just throw me away." Marcus set down his tools, giving the call his full attention. "You built nothing. You cheated, lied, and stole. Now you're facing the consequences." "Consequences?" Rex laughed bitterly. "I'll show you consequences. You think you're untouchable in your little workshop? Think again. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You took everything from me. Now I'm going to return the favor." Marcus recorded the call, his expression hardening. "You already tried taking everything from me, Rex. You came into my home, threatened my daughter, tried to destroy my reputation. How did that work out for you? This isn't over." "You're right about that." Marcus's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "It's not over until I say it's over. And Rex, I'm just getting started." He ended the call and immediately dialed Daniel. "Rex is making threats. Drunk, unstable. Want me to send some guys to watch him?" "No. Let him come. He won't be able to resist trying something dramatic." Marcus began closing up his shop. "Just make sure Lily's security is doubled." "Already done." "You really think he'll try something?" "Men like Rex can't handle losing. He'll try to prove he's still powerful, still in control." Marcus locked the workshop door. "And when he does, we'll be ready." He drove home through the quiet streets of Oakhaven, his mind already plotting the next moves in this chess game of revenge. Rex's threat wasn't a surprise. It was an opportunity. Another chance to show them all what happened when you underestimated Marcus, the hammer parting. Chapter 6. The Web Titans. The attack came 3 days later. Marcus was working late, as he had been every night since Rex's threat. The workshop was quiet except for the sound of his tools and the radio playing softly in the background. The first indication something was wrong was the power cutting out, plunging the workshop into darkness. Marcus didn't move, didn't call out. He'd been expecting this. Heavy footsteps approached from multiple directions, at least 3 men, trying to be stealthy but unfamiliar with the layout of the shop. Marcus moved silently between the workbenches, his feet finding the path through years of muscle memory. "Check the office," a rough voice whispered. "Boss says he's usually there." Marcus allowed himself a small smile in the darkness. Rex had hired professionals, but they'd made a crucial mistake. They'd come to his territory, his workshop, where he knew every inch of space by touch alone. The beam of a flashlight cut through the darkness, sweeping past where Marcus stood. He counted the footsteps, tracking their positions. One man moved toward the office, another toward the storage room. The third was approaching Marcus's position. The flashlight beam swung around again, and Marcus moved. His fist connected with the first man's throat, cutting off any warning he might have given. As the man dropped, Marcus caught the flashlight before it hit the ground. "Jimmy?" One of the others called softly. "You good?" Marcus clicked the flashlight once, their apparent signal. Footsteps approached, and he waited until the second man was almost on top of him before striking. This one went down with a muffled grunt, but it was enough to alert the third man. "We've got company." The last attacker opened fire, bullets splintering wood where Marcus had been seconds before. Marcus moved through his workshop like a ghost, using the familiar obstacles to his advantage. He heard the attacker's rapid breathing, the shuffle of uncertain feet. This one was scared now, realizing something had gone wrong. "Where are you?" the man demanded, gun sweeping wildly. "Right here." Marcus's voice came from behind him. Before the man could turn, Marcus had him in a chokehold. "Tell Rex he'll have to do better than this." The man struggled, then went limp in Marcus's grip. Marcus held on for a few more seconds before letting him slump to the floor. Light flooded the workshop as Daniel flipped the power back on. He stood in the doorway, phone in hand. "Got it all on camera," Daniel said, stepping over one of the unconscious men. "Police are 3 minutes out." Marcus nodded, surveying the scene. "Check their phones. I want to know who hired them." They worked quickly, gathering evidence. The men carried no ID, but their phones told the story. Text messages from a burner number, payment details, instructions for the hit. Police sirens wailed in the distance as Daniel held up one of the phones. "Look at this. They were supposed to rough you up. Take pictures. Make it look like you attacked them first." "Rex getting desperate," Marcus said, his voice cold. "Trying to paint me as the violent one." The police arrived, and Marcus gave his statement. Security footage from Daniel's hidden cameras showed the entire attack, leaving no doubt about who was the victim and who were the aggressors. As the police led the attackers away, Detective Sarah Chun pulled Marcus aside. "Mr. Harding, this is the second incident involving you and Rex Vance. Want to tell me what's really going on?" "Check their employment records," Marcus suggested, "and maybe look into who's been paying them." The detective's eyes narrowed. "You seem very calm for someone who just survived an attack." "I'm a simple man, detective. I just want to protect my family and run my business. Simple men don't usually have professional security systems and military-grade surveillance." She gestured toward Daniel's cameras. "Or friends with tactical training." Marcus met her gaze steadily. "In my experience, detective, it's better to be prepared." After the police left, Daniel helped Marcus clean up the workshop. "Rex won't take this well," Daniel said, righting an overturned workbench. "No, he won't." Marcus picked up a splintered piece of wood, part of a custom order he'd been working on. "But he just gave us exactly what we needed." The next morning, Marcus sat in his lawyer's office, reviewing the police report. James Morrison, his attorney, spread photos across his desk. "This is perfect," Morrison said. "With the restraining order already in place, this attack proves Rex is escalating. We can push for criminal charges." "What about his father's influence?" Morrison smiled. "That's the beauty of it. The old man's already distancing himself from Rex. He won't risk his reputation by interfering." Marcus's phone buzzed, a message from Serafina. "This has to stop. Please, before someone gets hurt." He showed the message to Morrison. "Add this to the evidence file. Shows she knows about Rex's plans." "You're really going to take them both down, aren't you?" "They brought violence into my home," Marcus said simply. "Threatened my daughter. Actions have consequences." Later that day, Marcus received an unexpected visitor. Isabel Morrow returned, looking even more distressed than during her last visit. "I have something you need to see." She placed a USB drive on his desk. "Serafina? She's been recording her conversations with Rex, planning how to destroy you. But this latest attack, it's gone too far." Marcus picked up the drive. "Why are you giving me this?" "Because I was wrong about you." "About her?" Isabel wrapped her arms around herself. "What they're doing, it's not right. And I want no part of it." Marcus studied her for a moment. "There's no going back from this, Isabel. Serafina will know you betrayed her." "I know." She stood straighter. "But I have to live with myself." After she left, Marcus reviewed the recordings. Serafina's voice, cold and calculating, discussing ways to ruin him. Rex's drunken rants about making him pay. Plans, schemes, manipulations, all laid bare. He called Daniel. "Get these to Detective Chan. And call Morrison." We're ready for the final phase. You sure about this? Daniel asked. Once we pull this trigger. They had their chances to back off, Marcus said. Time to end this. The next day, Marcus drove to Serafina's hotel. She met him in the lobby, her usual poise shaken by the dark circles under her eyes. Come to gloat? She asked. No. Came to give you one last chance. He placed a document on the table between them. Sign the divorce papers. Walk away. Take what's left of your reputation and disappear. Or what? Or tomorrow, everything comes out. The affair, the fraud, your part in Rex's attack. He stood. Your choice. You'd really destroy me? After everything we had? Marcus looked at her, seeing not the woman he'd loved but the manipulator she'd always been. You destroyed us the moment you chose him over our family. I'm just finishing what you started. He left her there, staring at the papers. In his car, he called Morrison. Be ready. Whatever she chooses, tomorrow we release everything. It'll be nuclear, Morrison warned. No going back. Good. Marcus started his car. Sometimes the only way forward is through the fire. He drove home to Lily, to their quiet dinner together, to the peace of his workshop. Tomorrow would bring chaos, but tonight, he could take satisfaction in knowing that justice was coming. The hammer was about to strike one final time, and this blow would shatter everything Rex and Serafina had built on their foundation of lies. Chapter 7. The Final Stand. Lily sat at her desk, trying to focus on homework when the text arrived. I need to see you. Please. Your mother loves you. Mom. She showed the message to Marcus, who stood at her doorway. She won't stop, will she? No, Marcus said, his voice gentle but firm. But it's your choice if you want to see her. Lily stared at the message. I want to know why. Why she let him hurt me. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Then meet her. But not alone. The meeting was set for a local cafe. Marcus watched from his truck across the street as Lily walked in. Daniel sat in another vehicle, ready to intervene if needed. Serafina was already waiting, her designer clothes and perfect makeup a stark contrast to her haunted expression. She stood when Lily approached, arms outstretched for a hug that Lily didn't return. Baby, I've missed you so much, Serafina said, sinking back into her chair. Don't call me that. Lily's voice was steel, learned from her father. What do you want? I want you to understand. Your father. He's not who you think he is. The things he's doing to Rex, to me. You mean exposing the truth? Lily's green eyes, so like her father's, blazed. The fraud? The lies? Or do you mean stopping Rex from attacking him? That's not. You don't understand. Rex was just upset. Your father provoked him. Provoked him? Lily's laugh was cold. Like I provoked him when he tried to touch me? When he threatened to teach me to obey? Serafina flinched. He didn't mean. Yes, he did. And you let him. Lily leaned forward. You brought that monster into our home. You watched him threaten me. And now you're trying to defend him? Lily, please. Your father is turning you against me. He's poisoning you with lies. Dad never had to say anything. I saw it all myself. Lily stood, her hands flat on the table. I saw how Rex treated me. I saw how you chose him over us. I saw how you tried to destroy Dad's reputation when he protected me. That's not fair. I'm your mother. No. Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. A mother protects her child. A mother doesn't let anyone hurt her daughter. You're just the woman who gave birth to me. She turned to leave, but Serafina grabbed her arm. You can't talk to me like that. I raised you. Dad raised me. Lily pulled free. He taught me about strength, about loyalty, about standing up to people who try to hurt you. What did you teach me, Mom? How to lie. How to betray people who love you. Your father is destroying everything. Our family, our life. You destroyed it first. Lily's voice cracked slightly. When you chose Rex over us. When you let him threaten me. When you tried to ruin Dad for protecting me. Serafina's face hardened. You're just like him. Cold. Unforgiving. Thank you. Lily smiled, and in that moment, she looked exactly like Marcus. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. She walked out, leaving Serafina staring after her. Outside, she climbed into Marcus's truck, tears finally falling. "You okay?" he asked softly. "She tried to make me hate you." Lily wiped her eyes. "Said you were destroying everything." Marcus started the engine. "What do you think?" "I think." Lily straightened in her seat. "I think she never knew you at all. The real you. The one who builds things, who protects people." Before Marcus could respond, his phone buzzed. Daniel's voice came through. "Rex just pulled up. He's heading into the cafe." Marcus watched through the windshield as Rex stormed into the cafe, his expensive suit wrinkled, his face flushed with rage. Through the window, they could see him confronting Serafina, his gestures wild and threatening. "Stay here," Marcus ordered, reaching for his door handle. "Dad, no." Lily grabbed his arm. "He's trying to provoke you, to make you look violent in public." Marcus paused, studying the scene. Rex was creating a spectacle, other customers pulling out phones to record. "You're right," he said, settling back. "Let him show everyone who he really is." They watched as Serafina tried to calm Rex, as cafe staff called security, as Rex's mask of sophistication crumbled completely. When police arrived, Rex was still ranting, pointing at Marcus's truck and making threats that everyone could hear. "That's the last time he'll threaten us in public," Marcus said as Rex was led away in handcuffs. "Or private. What happens now?" Marcus pulled out his phone, dialing his lawyer. "Now we end this. All of it." Later that night, Marcus worked in his shop, preparing for what he knew would come. Rex, out on bail, wouldn't let this humiliation stand. He'd try one last desperate move. The security system's silent alarm pulsed on Marcus's phone. Right on time. He moved into position, watching through the security feeds as Rex crept around the building. This time he was alone, no hired thugs, no backup plan. Just a desperate man with nothing left to lose. The back door opened silently. Rex must have gotten a copy of the key from Serafina. Marcus waited in the shadows, letting Rex move deeper into the workshop. "I know you're here," Rex called out, his voice slurred. "Come face me like a man. Like you faced my daughter?" Marcus's voice echoed through the space. "Or like you faced me with hired thugs?" Rex spun around, a gun shaking in his hand. "You ruined everything." "No, Rex. You did that yourself." Marcus stepped into view, empty hands raised. "Look at you now." The great Rex Vance, breaking and entering, waving a gun around. "What would your father think?" "Shut up." Rex's face contorted. "My father abandoned me because of you. My business is gone because of you. Your father abandoned you because you're a fraud. Your business is gone because you're a criminal." Marcus took a step forward. "And now you're here, proving everything I said about you was true." The gun wavered. "Stay back. Or what? You'll shoot me? Add murder to your charges?" "Another step. Go ahead. Show everyone exactly who you are." Rex's finger tightened on the trigger, but Marcus was already moving. The gun went off, the bullet splintering wood as Marcus closed the distance. His fist connected with Rex's jaw, sending him stumbling backward. The gun clattered away as Rex swung wildly, his businessman's hands no match for Marcus's calloused fists. Each punch was precise, calculated, breaking down Rex's defense until he slumped against a workbench. "Please," Rex gasped, blood streaming from his nose. "Don't kill me." Marcus picked up the gun, emptied the clip. "I'm not going to kill you, Rex. I'm going to let you live. Live to see everything you built turn to dust. Live to watch from a prison cell as your name becomes synonymous with fraud and corruption." Police sirens wailed in the distance. The silent alarm had done its job. "The security cameras caught everything," Marcus said, zip-tying Rex's hands. "The break-in, the gun, your confession. It's over." As police led Rex away for the second time that day, Detective Chen approached Marcus. "You knew he'd come. Men like Rex are predictable. They can't stand losing control." She nodded toward the workshop. "You could have killed him. Would have been justified, him having a gun. Death would be too easy." Marcus watched Rex being placed in a police car. "I want him to live with what he's lost. Just like he wanted for me." Chapter 8. The Reckoning. The headlines dominated local news for days. Real estate mogul arrested in armed attack. Vance empire crumbles. Full investigation launch. Society wife's affair leads to criminal conspiracy. Serafina sat in her hotel room, watching her world implode on multiple screens. Her phone buzzed constantly. Reporters, former friends, lawyers all demanding answers. Isabel had publicly denounced her, sharing details of Serafina's manipulation and lies. A knock at her door made her jump. The hotel manager stood there, looking apologetic but firm. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Harding, but your credit cards have been declined. We'll need another form of payment." She tried card after card, all declined. Her accounts frozen pending investigation into her role in Rex's crimes. The manager's sympathy turned to embarrassment as she was escorted out, her designer luggage piled into a taxi with nowhere to go. Across town, Marcus sat in a press conference, his lawyer beside him. Reporters fired questions about Rex's attack, about the evidence of corruption, about Serafina's involvement. "Mr. Harding, how long have you known about Mr. Vance's illegal activities?" "I knew Rex Vance was corrupt the moment he threatened my daughter," Marcus replied, his voice carrying through the room. "The illegal contracts, the fraud, the violence. It's all part of who he is, who they both are." "Are you referring to your wife?" "Ex-wife," Marcus corrected. Serafina chose to align herself with a criminal. She chose to support him when he threatened a child. Everything that's happening now is the result of those choices. The questions continued, but Marcus remained composed, letting the evidence speak for itself. The recordings Isabel provided, the documentation of fraud, the security footage of Rex's attacks, it created an undeniable picture of corruption and betrayal. After the conference, Daniel waited in the parking lot. "Serafina's been evicted from her hotel. She's trying to contact her family." "They won't help," Marcus said, loosening his tie. "Not after what came out about their foundation's connection to Rex's fraud. You really did think of everything? They brought this fight to my family." Marcus got into his truck. "I just finished it." Later that week, Marcus received an unexpected visit at his workshop. Rex's father, Richard Vance Sr., stood in the doorway looking older than his years. "Come to threaten me?" Marcus asked, not pausing his work.
"No."
Richard moved into the shop, examining a half-finished table. "Came to understand the man who brought down my empire. Your son did that. I just exposed the truth." "The truth?" Richard laughed bitterly. "The truth is, I knew. About the fraud, the kickbacks, all of it. I chose to ignore it because he was my son. And now? Now I have to salvage what's left of my company's reputation. Distance myself from my own blood." Richard turned to Marcus. "You're a father. You understand what that costs." "I understand protecting your child," Marcus said, setting down his tools. "But Rex isn't a child. He's a predator who tried to hurt my daughter. The cost of that was always going to be everything." Richard nodded slowly. "You're a harder man than I am, Mr. Harding. I let love blind me to my son's crimes. You let love fuel your justice." "Justice?" Marcus picked up his tools again. "This isn't justice, Mr. Vance. This is consequences." After Richard left, Marcus checked his phone. A text from his lawyer showed Serafina's latest attempt to salvage her reputation. A tearful interview claiming she was also Rex's victim. The comments below were ruthless, people sharing stories of her manipulation, her cruelty, her lies. Daniel called next. "Rex's preliminary hearing is set. They're denying bail this time. Too many witness statements about his instability. And Serafina? Being investigated for her role in the fraud. Seems she knew more about those illegal contracts than she claimed." Marcus ended the call, satisfaction settling over him. In the end, their own actions had sealed their fates. He just made sure those actions came to light. Lily found him later, working on a new piece. "I saw Mom's interview.
And
She's still lying." Lily ran her hand over the smooth wood. "Still trying to make herself the victim. Some people never change." "But we did," Lily said thoughtfully. "We're stronger now." Marcus looked at his daughter, no longer the frightened girl who'd called him that day, but a young woman who'd learned to face hard truths. "Yes," he agreed. "We are." Chapter 9. The New Dawn. Weeks passed, turning to months. Rex's trial made headlines, each day bringing new revelations of corruption and violence. He sat in court, the polish and charm stripped away, revealing the hollow man beneath. Serafina's social circle collapsed entirely. No more galas, no more charity boards, no more influential friends. Her attempts to rebuild her reputation failed as more people came forward with stories of her manipulation and deceit. Marcus focused on his work, on his daughter, on the simple life that had once seemed insufficient to his ex-wife. His business thrived, built on the reputation for honesty and craftsmanship that even Serafina's lies couldn't tarnish. One evening, as he and Lily worked together in the shop, she asked, "Do you ever regret it? Taking them down so completely?" Marcus considered the question, running his hand along the grain of a piece of oak. "Do you remember what I taught you about working with wood? That you have to respect its nature. Work with its strength, not against it. People are the same. Rex and your mother showed us who they really were. I just made sure everyone else could see it too." Lily nodded, understanding in her eyes. "Like revealing the grain in the wood. You didn't change it, you just brought out what was already there." "Exactly." Marcus watched her work, pride filling his chest. They chose their path. All I did was make sure they walked it to the end. The legal proceedings concluded with Rex facing years in prison for fraud, assault, and attempted murder. His father's company survived, but the Vance name became synonymous with corruption in Oakhaven. Serafina left town quietly, her attempts to salvage her reputation in ruins. The last Marcus heard, she'd moved across the country, trying to rebuild her life among strangers who didn't know her past. As for Marcus and Lily, they found peace in their workshop, in their home, in the honest labor of creating beautiful things. The betrayal had changed them, but not in the way their enemies had intended. Instead of breaking them, it had revealed their strength, their resilience, their unshakable bond. One day, a customer examined a finished piece in Marcus's showroom. "I heard about what happened," she said. "About your ex-wife and that developer. Must have been hard, going through that." Marcus ran his hand along the table he'd crafted, feeling the strength in the wood. "Life's like furniture," he said. "The strongest pieces are the ones that have been tested. You just have to know how to work with what you're given." The customer nodded, understanding the deeper meaning. "And now? Now we build something new." Marcus looked through the window to where Lily worked in the shop, her movements sure and confident. Something better. He'd learned that revenge, properly executed, wasn't about violence or rage. It was about patience, about understanding the nature of your opponents, about letting them reveal their true selves to the world. In the end, Marcus, the hammer Harding, hadn't needed to destroy Rex and Serafina. He'd simply created the conditions for them to destroy themselves, their own actions becoming the instrument of their downfall. As he worked in his shop each day, creating beauty from raw wood, he knew he'd chosen the right path. Not just for justice, not just for revenge, but for the future he and Lily would build together. A future built on strength, on truth, on the unshakable foundation of trust between father and daughter. Epilogue. 5 years later, Marcus stood in his expanded workshop, now triple the size of his original space, watching a group of apprentices work under Lily's supervision. His 20-year-old daughter moved between workstations with confidence, her trained eye catching details that others might miss. "The grain pattern needs to flow naturally," she instructed one young worker. "Remember what my father taught us. We don't force the wood, we reveal its character." Marcus smiled, pride warming his chest. After graduating high school, Lily had chosen to join the family business full-time, bringing fresh ideas and modern techniques while respecting the traditional craftsmanship he'd taught her. Under their combined leadership, Harding Custom Furniture had grown from a local establishment to a nationally recognized brand, known for both quality and integrity. Daniel entered through the back door, still wearing his garage coveralls. "The latest shipment of oak just arrived. Quality looks good. How's the expansion going?" Marcus asked, referring to Anvil's garage, which had grown into Oakhaven's premier auto service center. "Can't keep up with demand." Daniel grinned, thinking of opening a second location across town. He hesitated, then added, "Heard some news you might want to know." Marcus raised an eyebrow. Oh, Rex is up for parole next month. The name brought no emotional response from Marcus now. Rex Vance was a footnote in his life, a cautionary tale of pride and corruption. How many years has it been? 5 since the conviction. He's served minimum time for good behavior. Daniel watched his friend carefully. Word is he's a changed man. Found religion in prison, leads support groups, the whole redemption story. Good for him. Marcus meant it. He'd let go of the anger years ago, focusing instead on building something positive from the ashes of betrayal. There's more, Daniel continued. Serafina's back in town. This news did cause Marcus to pause in his work. Why? Her father died last month. She's here for the estate settlement. Been trying to rebuild bridges with her old social circle, but Daniel shrugged. Memories long in small towns. Marcus nodded, returning to his work. 5 years had changed everything. The scandal that had rocked Oakhaven had faded into local legend, a story people told about pride and consequences. Rex's father had retired, passing his reformed company to new leadership. Isabel Morrow had divorced her husband after the offshore account scandal, reinventing herself as an advocate for financial transparency in charitable organizations. Dad, Lily approached, wiping sawdust from her hands. The Johnson Commission is ready for final approval. Want to take a look? They walked together to a magnificent dining set that dominated one corner of the workshop. Lily had designed it herself, incorporating elements of her father's style while adding her own modern touches. Beautiful work, Marcus said, running his hand along the table's edge. You've surpassed your teacher. Never, Lily smiled. But I learned from the best, both about woodworking and about life. Later that evening, as Marcus locked up the workshop, he spotted a familiar figure across the street. Serafina stood in the fading light, her designer clothes still impeccable but her face showing the weight of years and regret. Their eyes met briefly before she turned away, hurrying toward her rental car. At home, Marcus found an envelope in his mail, a letter from Rex Vance. He considered throwing it away unopened but decided against it. The past had no power over him anymore. Inside was a simple note. Mr. Harding, I don't expect forgiveness, nor do I deserve it. But as I prepare to rejoin society, I wanted you to know that I understand now what I destroyed, not just my own life, but the trust and safety of a family. My actions were unforgivable, especially toward Lily. I've spent these years trying to become someone different than the man who did those things. Rex Vance. Marcus shared the letter with Lily over dinner. She read it silently, her expression thoughtful. Do you believe him? She asked. I believe people can change, Marcus replied. But that doesn't mean they're owed forgiveness. I saw Mom today, Lily said quietly, at the grocery store. She looked small, different. Are you okay? Yeah. Lily smiled. You know what I felt when I saw her? Nothing. No anger, no pain. She's just someone who used to be in our lives. Marcus understood perfectly. They'd built something too strong to be haunted by old wounds. The next morning, Marcus arrived at the workshop early to find another familiar face waiting. Richard Vance Sr., Rex's father. Been following your company's growth, the older man said without preamble. You've built something impressive here. What do you want, Richard? Rex's parole hearing is next month. He's asked about making amends. No. Marcus's voice was firm but not unkind. Whatever redemption Rex is seeking, he needs to find it without involving my family. Richard nodded, seeming to expect this answer. You know, I never thanked you. For what? For stopping him. For exposing everything. If you hadn't, Richard sighed. He might have destroyed himself completely. Prison? It gave him boundaries, consequences. Things I never did. After Richard left, Marcus worked on a special project, a hope chest he was creating for Lily's upcoming wedding. She'd met James, a local architect, 2 years ago. Unlike Serafina, James understood and appreciated the value of craftsmanship, of building something real and lasting. Daniel stopped by around lunch, carrying news as usual. Serafina tried to join the hospital charity board. They turned her down flat. Isabel's on the committee now. Apparently, she gave quite a speech about learning from past mistakes and protecting the organization's integrity. Marcus chuckled. The spider had indeed changed her ways, using her networking skills now to protect rather than destroy. Life's funny, Daniel mused. 5 years ago, we were planning revenge. Now look at us, business owners, community leaders. You've got a daughter getting married. I've got 2 new locations opening. We won. It was never about winning, Marcus replied, carefully fitting a joint together. It was about building something true. That evening, as Marcus and Lily worked late in the shop, a young apprentice asked about the shop's name change. The sign outside now read, Harding and Daughter Custom Furniture. People said I should keep my options open, Lily explained, sharing a smile with her father. Maybe go to college, see the world. But I already knew where I belonged. This isn't just a business. It's a legacy of honesty, of quality, of doing things right. Marcus watched his daughter demonstrate a complex joinery technique to the apprentice, her movements sure and confident. She'd taken the lessons of their darkest time and built something beautiful from them, just as they did with raw wood. The next week brought an invitation to speak at the local business college about entrepreneurship and ethics. Marcus had become something of a local legend, not for the scandal, but for how he'd handled it. Students wanted to hear about maintaining integrity in the face of adversity, about building a business on principles rather than just profit. During the lecture, a student asked about forgiveness and second chances in business. Forgiveness is personal, Marcus answered. But trust? Trust is earned through actions, not words. The same principles apply whether you're crafting furniture or rebuilding a reputation. You can't cut corners, can't fake quality. People see through that eventually. After the lecture, Marcus drove past the old Vance building, now housing a tech startup. Rex's empire had crumbled, but something new and potentially better had grown in its place. It was the way of things, destruction and renewal, breaking down and building up. At home, he found Lily reviewing wedding plans. The ceremony would be held in the workshop, her choice, surrounded by the tools and creations that had shaped their lives. James and I want to build our own furniture, she announced. For our home. Together. Marcus nodded, understanding the symbolism. I'll teach him. If he's willing to learn. He is. Lily smiled. He says he wants to understand what makes us who we are. Not just the craftsmanship, but the principles behind it. Later that night, Marcus sat in his workshop alone, working on Lily's hope chest. Each piece of wood was carefully chosen, each joint perfectly fitted. It would be his wedding gift to her. Not just a beautiful piece of furniture, but a symbol of everything they'd built together. He thought about the changes 5 years had brought. Rex finding purpose in prison. Serafina learning to live with the consequences of her choices. Isabel redirecting her talents toward positive ends. Even Richard Vance, finally facing his role in his son's downfall. But the most important changes were closer to home. His relationship with Lily had grown stronger through adversity. Their business had flourished, built on a foundation of trust and quality. They'd taken the worst life could throw at them and crafted something beautiful from it. The hope chest was nearly complete. Marcus ran his hands over the smooth wood, feeling the strength in its joints, the character in its grain. Like their lives, it was something built to last, something that would grow more beautiful with time and care. Next week, Rex's parole hearing would happen. Serafina would eventually leave town again. Life would go on. But here in his workshop, with the evidence of his life's work surrounding him, Marcus knew he'd chosen the right path. Not the path of endless revenge, but the path of building something better from the wreckage of betrayal. The hope chest would hold Lily's treasures, just as their workshop held their shared legacy. A legacy not of bitterness or revenge, but of creation, of growth, of turning raw materials into something fine and lasting. As Marcus added the final touches to the chest, he reflected on the lesson he'd learned and taught. True strength isn't in destroying things, but in building them. Not in holding on to anger, but in crafting something too beautiful for anger to touch. The workshop lights glowed warm against the evening darkness, and inside, Marcus Harding continued his life's work, not just shaping wood, but shaping a legacy of integrity, craftsmanship, and unshakable bonds. The past had tried to break them, but instead, it had only revealed their true grain, their essential character, strong and beautiful and built to last. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.